Getting us started this Wednesday, millions of people are bracing for Hurricane Florence as it churns towards the southeastern U.S. The Category 4 storm may still be at that strength when it makes its expected landfall in the Carolinas either later tomorrow or early Friday morning. Florence could dump as much as 2.5 feet of rain on some places. Also in the national spotlight this morning, Elizabeth Smart says she was disappointed to learn that one of her kidnappers is getting out of prison early. Wanda Barzee has served 15 years for her role in the 2002 abduction. She'll be set free next week, 5 years ahead of her scheduled release. Officials say they had miscalculated the time Barzee spent in federal custody. On to Crime Watch. 2 violent crimes in Billings in the last 2 weeks. One a homicide and the other a shooting, but still no arrests from Billings police. But Q2 has learned that doesn't necessarily mean investigators don't have suspects, but rather they're waiting for all the pieces to fall into place before filing charges. Billings police say when it comes to last Sunday's shooting on Custer and First, they have been able to identify all parties involved. That's also true for the fatal stabbing that happened August 29th at the downtown Hardee's. Police Lieutenant Brandon Woolley says the department has the tough role of weighing the public safety with protecting a person's right to due process. In Lewis and Clark County, the sheriff's office there is investigating a mystery. They say they haven't been able to determine what happened to a man found in critical condition in the woods near Lincoln more than 2 weeks ago. According to Sheriff Leo Dutton, the victim's car, a rental Ford Mustang, was found near a trailhead on August 20th. 4 days later, a man walking the gulch with a metal detector heard moaning and discovered the man about 2 miles away from his car. Sheriff Dutton says the victim had electrical cord wrapped around one of his legs. He was taken to a hospital in Missoula where he's undergone multiple surgeries for internal injuries. The man is in his 40s and from Great Falls. The sheriff suspects foul play, but right now the victim isn't talking to investigators.
But if he would have died, we would have had a homicide on our hands, had it not been for the gentleman from Great Falls who was basically prospecting for gold with a metal detector.
Sheriff Dutton says investigators did find a cell phone and they are trying to track down a man they believe was with the victim. They're also working with the FBI Violent Crime Task Force. Sheriff Dutton says they will release the victim's name soon. The Madison County Sheriff Roger Lee Thompson is officially suspended. The County Commission voted unanimously Tuesday to suspend Sheriff Thompson for 3 months, but he will still receive pay and benefits. The suspension follows charges of official misconduct, tampering with evidence, and perjury after an investigation found that drugs and paraphernalia were missing from a drug investigation in June of last year. Thompson is slated to make his initial court appearance and answer to the charges on October 1st. Those who respond to emergency calls across Yellowstone County have a new home, allowing for a more timely, coordinated response. The new 911 center nearly doubles the capacity of the former dispatch center. Improvements include locker rooms, dormitories, a kitchen, break room, and even a workout room. Communications Center Manager Ann Kindness has served as manager for 28 years and says this facility is something that's been in the works since the early 90s.
We have storage. That's amazing. You know, it's so unusual to have adequate storage because we have radio crash kits and telephone crash kits and all the materials that we need to run this operation. We have sleep rooms that are available for come on, stay on type situations. They will also serve as quiet rooms for staff members who handle emotionally charged or traumatic calls. They have a quiet place where they can compose themselves before they return to duty. But that's available here because we have a commitment to taking care of the people that are really making a lot of sacrifices and are so dedicated to taking care of everybody else.
The $6 million facility just happens to be located at 911 North 24th Street. Supporters of tougher drunk and drug driving laws in Montana made their voices heard Tuesday morning at the state capitol. The rally included 3 Montana DUI task forces, Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney and Attorney General Tim Fox. Supporters offered recommendations on ways to reduce DUIs, including DUI checkpoints, requiring ignition interlocks, closer monitoring for first-time DUI offenders, and increasing state liquor taxes to help fund new enforcement efforts.
I'm convinced that Montanans know we have a problem, but don't really realize how bad the problem is. And the solutions that are quite doable, we really want to change the culture of drinking and driving in Montana.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving has repeatedly ranked Montana among the worst in the nation for efforts to reduce driving under the influence. On to Fire Watch. Fire crews are battling the horseshoe fire burning north of Three Forks near the small community of Clarkston. That fire of unknown origin sparked Monday night and is now more than 2,000 acres in size, taking out several structures in its path, including some homes. The fire is burning in steep, rugged terrain, making it difficult for crews to access. The Gallatin County Sheriff's Office says crews were able to stop the fire's growth on Tuesday, and no additional structures were lost. But still, there is zero containment on the horseshoe fire. No injuries have been reported. Not far away, Highway 12 between Townsend and White Sulphur Springs is reopened after flames from a private burn blew out of control. Here's a look at the flames burning right up against the highway Monday night. Broadwater County Sheriff Wynn Meehan says a farmer was conducting a prescribed burn when winds picked up and carried flames outside the fire line. Officials say the fire burned between 250 and 450 acres outside of the planned burn area. Residents in the area were put on a temporary evacuation notice, but that was quickly canceled. In other news, the Montana medical scene has lost one of its most influential figures. Dr. Nick Walter, longtime CEO of Billings Clinic, passed away last Friday at his home in Montana's Paradise Valley. The 70-year-old Walter served as the clinic CEO from 1997 until his retirement in 2017. He served on the board of the American Hospital Association as well as the American Medical Group Association. In 2010, he was named one of the 100 most influential people in healthcare and served 2 terms as the commissioner on the nation's Medicare Payment Advisory Commission. Word of Dr. Walter's death spread quickly, with healthcare groups and leaders offering their thoughts and condolences. The president of the American Hospital Association, Rick Pollack, called Walter one of the healthcare field's most visionary leaders. Nick was a champion for rural healthcare and a nationally recognized leader in healthcare delivery innovation. Pollack said Walter helped usher in a new era of hospital-physician partnership. A celebration of Dr. Walter's life is set for 5:30 Thursday afternoon in the Billings Clinic Commons. Elsewhere, the new warden of the Montana State Prison System will take over his new job at the end of October. The Montana Department of Corrections announced Tuesday that Lynn Geyer, a 30-year veteran of the Idaho Corrections System, will become Montana's new warden. Most recently, Geyer served for 13 years as warden of the North Idaho Correctional Institution. The Department of Corrections says in Idaho, Geyer dealt with many of the issues facing the Montana State Prison System. For the past 7 months, the Associate Warden of Operations, Jim Salmonson, has served as Montana's interim warden. Geyer begins his new job October 22nd. Missoula's weekly newspaper, the Missoula Independent, is no more. Derek Brower, a staff reporter at the Independent, confirms to MTN News that he received a letter Tuesday morning informing him of the decision to close the paper. Brower said he was notified by a phone call 20 minutes later telling him not to report to work. Brower tells MTN there will still be employees at the paper until October 10th. Lee Enterprises, which owns the Missoulian and the Billings Gazette daily newspapers, bought the Missoula Independent 17 months ago. Just 5 months ago, independent staffers voted to unionize. An online effort, Save the Indy, was launched a few weeks ago to garner public support to keep the weekly operating. MTM News reached out to Missoulian General Manager Matt Gibson for comment about the shutdown, but he has not yet responded. With hunting season right around the corner, hunters should know what they can and cannot take if they plan to fly with their hunting gear. Knives, ammunition, guns, and various other weapons are never allowed in carry-ons, but are allowed in your checked luggage. Firearms must be locked and stored in your checked bag. And a reminder that bear spray is never allowed in your carry-on or in your checked luggage.
This is an irritant, and it contains chemicals that if they were to get into the air system of the aircraft, they would possibly harm the passengers on the plane or the crew, but also they would be detrimental to any baggage handler or anybody who works around the aircraft.
And if you're unsure about the TSA rules and regulations, you can visit the TSA website, where you'll find a complete list of items that are allowed and not allowed in your checked and carry-on luggage.